some Night City love. The official Night City website has a few interesting nuggets of trivia which are worth being cognizant of. Lucius Rhine is the current mayor of Night City. However, it appears that there will be elections taking place in 2077, with his opponents being Weldon Holt and Perales. Lucius was instrumental during the Unification War by calling upon Arasaka's help to deter NUS forces from invading Night City. Subsequently, Arasaka was allowed to return and rebuild their HQ in 2070. The Kress administration was mentioned. Originally, Elizabeth Kress was a colonel at a commanding unit in NORAD. However, in 2008, the High Riders and European Space Agency would use an orbital rock weapon to decimate Colorado Springs. After the strike, she was to find herself the ranking officer in NORAD. Though offered a discharge, she stayed on and oversaw the long rebuilding of the higher military command. When her monumental task was finished, she retired from the military and went into politics. After one term as senator from her adopted home state of Colorado, Kress was asked to accept the nomination for vice president in 2016. When President Blair was struck ill in 2018, Elizabeth was there to assume command. Blair passed away 6 months later. Elizabeth Kress was sworn in as president on April 14, 2019, and she would play a decisive role during the Fourth Corporate War. Kress was re-elected 4 times in a total disregard for the rules on term limits, and the United States effectively became a functional dictatorship. The fate of Kress remains elusive, but in 2077, the NUS president is Rosalind Mayers. Paid parking was scrapped in 2060 in response to extreme violence aimed at Me2Me, a distributed parking enforcement startup. NCART, or Night City Area Rapid Transit, is the fastest way to travel around town. In the city centre is a new bar called Seventh Hell, founded by a former mercenary. It's interesting that the NCPD state that the tiger claws in Japantown pose little threat to law-abiding residents and visitors, while other gangs in Night City receive warnings. Could corrupt NCPD officers be colluding with the tiger claws? Capitan Calientes is apparently home to the best burrito in town. The Biotechnica bombs on the outskirts of Night City produce synthetic protein derivatives on a massive scale. Another location, Rocky Ridge, was revealed. Houses were built, ready to welcome the workers employed by the businesses located just next door. Unfortunately, those businesses went bankrupt shortly thereafter, and the neighborhood was abandoned. Now it stands a ghost town and a hotspot for nomad squatting. In Pacifica, the NCPD described the situation as catastrophic. They also state that the Night City locals seem to have revived the Voodoo Boys name of an earlier, unrelated gang. Back in 2019, it was thought that CDPR had taken the original Voodoo Boys from Cyberpunk 2020 and evolved them into the Voodoo Boys you are familiar with in 2077. This seems to be supported by how Mike Pondsmith introduced them.
But one of the great things about having a few years is that you get a chance to do some redos. And one of the best ones is what we have with Voodoo Boys now. The Voodoo Boys in 2077 are really Voodoo Boys. They inherited the name, but it was sort of a natural fit. They were coming from Haiti and Dominican Republic, and they were the real thing.
However, the statement from the NCPD is an indication that the original gang was not erased from history. A somewhat controversial gang, they were known for torture, rape, and burning their victims alive. Thank you for chipping in.